Hello everybody and welcome to the Stevie P channel. For today's video, we are going to be doing a complete stream makeover. Basically, the situation is my sister is going to start streaming on Twitch and uploading to various different social media platforms under Noob of Note, link in the description below, so make sure you go and subscribe to her. And basically my brother, Mark Pettit Music, also go check him out on YouTube. He has moved into a new home studio, and as a result he has moved out of the room, leaving a nice big desk space. My sister's currently on one of those old sort of computer sort of stations with the various levels, you know, a whole pull-out drawer for the keyboard, pretty archaic. And we're going to be basically moving her over to the new setup and giving her everything she's going to need to stream. We are talking about lighting, we are talking about video, we're talking about audio, we're talking about stream overlays, logos, absolutely everything. But there are two objectives with this. First of all, we don't just want a stream setup which looks good on camera. We want something where you can walk into a room, it's clean, it's minimalistic, it's nice to look at, it's a nice vibe, so that it's not just sort of, I mean, we're not talking about skimping on so much cash that we're holding a piece of paper to a light to try and diffuse it, you know. We are trying to be a bit sort of semi-pro basically, but basically the sort of cheapest way you can get around. We're aiming for the sort of $100 mark. We might be going a bit over, but it is one of those things where you can just choose to reduce something. Basically, you want to talk about everything, and you know, you can kind of select what you would like and what you think could work. But the idea is that anyone with a decent PC who currently plays games and is thinking about taking things to the next level and beginning to stream, they can kind of follow this and get an idea of what they need and what kind of setup they can do with quite a small budget. Or else maybe sort of create a shopping list where they can add the basics as they go to try and get to this sort of streaming setup. So we're not talking about carte blanche budget, we are talking about anybody basically who can try and follow this sort of way of doing it and get towards being a pro looking streamer. So without any further ado, let's head upstairs and see what we've got to work with.
Right, so here we are. This is the old setup. Plenty of clutter and very cramped, and we've got a very big space to move over here. Lots of old posters featuring Sebastian the cat, and this is all because Mark has moved out. Check out the link in the description. He'll have a setup tour of his new setup, very cool music studio that's going to come very soon. So the idea is to take that and we're going to turn it into a pro streaming setup right over there. So let's get to it. Right, so it's about 2 in the morning here. We've got the PC now set up, the two screens. We added a second screen which is lying around, so don't factor into it. We're not going to factor into the overall cost because look, some people might have two screen setups, other people might have one. It's not really a necessity, so I wouldn't say it's anything that you need to go and get if you haven't. So in terms of becoming a streamer, streaming on Twitch, YouTube, or anything like that, there are a couple of things you obviously need. First of all, you need video. So the question is, before we even go to how to look at video, how are we going to capture the video? So a lot of different options. Your top end streamers will go with DSLRs, video cams, mirrorless DSLRs are usually a very good go-to, or else you can look at some of the high-end webcams like the Logitech C920, which is the favorite. It's something I use personally. For this, we are going for very sort of budget options, so we're going to go with a little Microsoft LD3000 live cam. Yeah, it's very arbitrary, as you can sort of see there. It doesn't mount to anything like that, it just sits in the back of the screen stuff like that, but that'll do the job. Sort of 720, it's not phenomenal, but it'll definitely do the job for anyone. So I mean, it costs $34, so it's a really nice cheap version. Look, there are other ways of doing things. You can use your phone, for example, but I want to do something where, you know, it's not depending on any battery, something that's permanently plugged in. That's the plus. And then once we have video, obviously the big thing is how we're going to light it. So if you watch a stream and stuff like that, you'll see a very popular option is the Elgato key lights, but they're quite costly affairs. So we're going to go do something. We're going to do a similar thing with having two lights behind the screens over here, except instead of going Elgato key light, we are going to go with 2 very cheap little ring lights. And I got 2 of these with the stand. These plug into USBs, so those are perfect. You can plug into a PC or any sort of phone charger, anything like that. I got both of these for like $22, so really is very cost efficient. You know, if you're looking at the Elgato key lights, you're going to start spending, you know, a couple $100 if you want to get 2 of these. So it's a very nice cheap way of doing things, and at the end of the day it does a similar purpose. You know, it won't be as good, but it does the same sort of thing. And the big thing is to be able to light yourself properly, because you can have the best camera in the world without good lighting, it'll look terrible. So whilst we've got a very budget camera, the important thing is to be able to light it properly, so that at least the camera itself and the image quality looks as good as we can get it. And then thirdly is audio. So audio is often where it gets quite costly. So at the moment we're not going to add an external microphone. We've got 2 options. First of all, we've got the option which is actually included on the webcam. The webcam does have a mic built into it. It's not brilliant, it's quite bassy, but it sounds, funny enough, quite nice. And we'll go into a bit of the sort of effects and stuff like that you can add to it to try and make it sound as good as possible. The other option is that you've got the headphones over here. Most games have headphones, and for example, like these headphones have, this headset has a microphone. So, I mean, once again, it won't be anything as good as getting a Rode Podcaster mic, or, you know, Shure SM57B, which is like sort of the industry standard. But, you know, instead, we're not spending any money on audio, because if you don't have a headset, the webcam that we recommended will do the job as well. And then as I said at the beginning of the video, we don't want to just do something that looks good on the stream. We want something where you can come in and look quite nice and quite cool. So what we're going to have is we've got a very cheap and easy little LED strip over here. These are all the rave at the moment. So what we're going to do is we're going to line this at the back there, which looks very cool. And I mean, these are dirt cheap. You can pick these up for about $10 for, I think this is about a 5-meter strip. Plugs into the wall, very easy. So those are the sort of basics. And then the big thing is you obviously got your foreground and your background. So we're not going to do a green screen or anything like that. So we do want something a little bit interesting. So what we're going to do is, I mean, it's all going to be playing. Once we reverse the camera, you'll see what's sort of behind the view facing. Obviously the webcam will be on top of one of the screens here and facing there. So the big thing is then what will it look like behind. So what I've gone and gotten, just to try and spice things up, is an LED bar cam. And these are, I mean, these days you can pick up one of these for $20, you know, and you can, yeah. I mean, so what we're going to do is we're just going to put one of these in the thing, and it basically uses what we call an uplight. So you just put it on the floor there, and if it's against a wall or something, it just adds a little bit of colour. It means that, you know, ideally what we're going to be doing is streaming in pretty much a dark room with the 2 lights on, which will light up your face, and then nothing in the background, which will be quite blurred. So if you just have a parking light, stuff like that in the back, it just adds a little bit of ambience to it. Just makes it look a bit better, a bit more interesting. And again, you know, so it's a very cheap option. You don't need things like the LED strip if you don't want. You don't need the parking if you want in the background. They really are just added extras just to try and make it look a little bit nicer. You know, there are cheaper ways of doing this, even cheaper ways if you want to do it in terms of lighting. You can go and find lamps you've got at home. You can try any of that sort of thing. You can use pieces of paper as diffusers and that kind of thing. They're all various different ways of doing it. So this is just how we sort of try and make the most professional setup whilst under a very strict budget. So without any further ado, yeah, let's go and set this all up and see what we've got. So here's the last sort of the final thing. We've got both key lights up there, you've got the RGB there, LED strip here. That's our parking. And then in terms of cable management, if you want to go down below here, then as you see a couple of sort of conduit trunking type thing with all the cables, a whole bunch over there, and then all the cables there just held together with a simple cable tie. So yeah, it just makes it look a lot more sort of neat underneath. So there's sort of less cables or anything like that to really worry about.
Right, so now we are on the PC itself using the Microsoft HT3000 Live Cam. I don't think it's too bad, to be honest. I think the video quality myself is pretty good. As I said, you cannot stress the importance of lighting enough. So thanks for these two ring lights at the back here, it does sort of show me very nicely. It does separate me from the back. Obviously this shoulder, because there's not much lighting at the back, sometimes gets a little bit lost. You'll see notice this shoulder is a lot more defined because of the parquet at the back, which I also really like. I think it adds quite a nice sort of ambience to it. So look, you can start playing around with your lighting. The lighting, you could do anything with your video. As long as you've got good lighting, your video should look relatively good. You could add another parquet maybe on this side, try and sort of define yourself. You want to kind of sort of create a bit of a separation between you and the background. If you are going with quite a dark background and there's not much to look at anyway, as you can sort of see, it's the only thing you can look at as me, and we've got a bit of a blue light there, which is quite nice. So look, you can play around with the lighting. For example, you can change the dimmer because we've got two lightings, 1, 2. We could make one dimmer and create a bit of a shadow over here. Alternatively, we could do the same thing on the other side. Maybe bring the brightness down there, create a bit of a shadow there for whatever sort of effect you want to get. It gets a bit grainier as it gets darker, as you would for any sort of camera or lighting. The lighting is, as I said, the most important thing. In terms of the audio, this is the on-camera audio that we are hearing on the webcam itself. I don't think it's too bad. The only thing I've added to this audio at the moment is a noise suppression filter that is in Streamlabs OBS, just to cut out a bit of the background noise and stuff like that. Sort of the buzz of the electrics and that kind of thing, and I think it works really, really well. It's obviously not going to be the same quality as if you had a Shure SM7B, microphone, but that's going to set you back a lot of money. So look, audio is one of those things you can invest in. Get a nice mic over here, it would help you. Same thing, if you got a better webcam, it would also help you. But considering that we are on a budget, I don't think we're too bad. Right, so now while we are actually on OBS itself, I want to show you how we're going to try and make our stream look that little bit better. And what I did is I went on to Own 3D, and there's a big Black Friday special. So for $20, I bought a whole animated overlay package. So you don't have to go this fancy. This is the nice thing, is that you can sort of customize whatever you want. You can get cheap packages which are maybe just a single overlay and that aren't animated, for example. You can even create your own if you're quite creative and you have a little bit of experience in terms of graphic design and stuff like that. Same with the logo. So I want to treat this as somebody who doesn't know anything about graphic design, doesn't have those resources. So I went into Fiverr, and for $8 I went with literally the cheapest logo. Sort of, you could try and see what we can get on a really good budget. The link on the person I used is in the description down below, because I'm really happy with the logo itself. Right, so this is the logo that was done, just $8. All I had to give the designer was a sort of color scheme and a couple of concepts. I just basically said I wanted to incorporate a set of headphones and I wanted to incorporate a wizard's hat, because Nubo Note is a big Potter head. So, and this is what we got. So I think it's really, really nice. I think it captures a sort of a fantasy feel, which was the point. The color scheme I think is great. The quality is brilliant. We got a nice PNG, and obviously this with a nice background as well, which makes for a really nice profile picture. So for $8, I really think if you don't have any graphic design experience or anything like that, it really is a worthwhile investment, because it's just something that makes it look a little bit more professional, makes it look like you're taking yourself seriously. It's not a lot of money, and there are some very, very good designers out there. So do yourself a favor, go do your homework, go look at the various people on Fiverr, go and look at their reviews, their previous work, find out what the deal are. This person over here could also do overlays and stuff like that. I didn't go with him. As I said, I went to Own 3D to get the overlays and stream overlays, but he did a very, very nice job of the logo itself. I'm very happy with what he produced. Right, so now the cherry on top, the icing on the cake for me are the stream overlays. And I think this just adds a little bit of professionalism to your setup, you know. It doesn't matter if you're starting up, the best YouTubers, best streamers or the worst streamers, they always have certain things which I think make them look quite professional. For me, when I arrive at a stream and you can see there's some good overlays and there's some nice personalized reaction stuff like that to subscriptions and things like that, for me it just makes it look that little bit better. And so, you know, for $20 on the Black Friday special, it was really worth it. It's really nice and animated. So let's head over and see what we have. So we've got a starting screen over here, has all the social media handles there. Obviously got the logo in the bottom left there, and look, it's nothing unbelievably fancy, but because it's animated, it's nice. It's not static. It's nice to look at. And then obviously if we go to, we've got a be right back scene, similar type thing, which just says pause, as well as an ending scene, same type of thing, all the logo stuff like that. And then my favorite one is we've got a just chatting scene. So obviously there's me in the middle here. We can have a gameplay or something in the top right corner there. We can add the game you're playing or whatever we're watching or whatever. You've got your chat box there. Along the bottom it has your recent donations, your followers, your subscribers, your recent bits and all the stuff like that, as well as your social media things on the top there. Still got the logo there, so it all works really nicely. And the overlay I found was within the color scheme, so I sort of all based on a similar color scheme, and as you can see it works really, really well. And then the final thing which is really useful is the game overlay. So we've got a nice little box which sort of puts the webcam in down there. We've got a nice box at the top there which has all your latest subscribers, your donations and stuff like that. And we've also got alert boxes which work really nicely, and I think that you know, that's another thing. You know, if you want people to go and donate, for example, then it really does help when you've got something that looks really good. So for example, if we have a subscription or something like that, then we've got something that comes up like that and says new note, new subscriber, and it just makes it look a little bit nicer and a little bit more professional. So, you know, we are trying to do the most professional setup we can with the least amount of money. So all of that, you know, we're looking at just over $100, but you can decide on certain things, take certain things out which will decrease the budget. So you can definitely get something very, very similar to this for around that golden sort of $100 mark. So let me know what you think of the setup down below in the subscription. Do subscribe to the channel as well. If you'd like to see any more sort of tutorials, if you'd like to talk about how we set up the actual the overlays and stuff like that, please let me know in the comments below. But yeah, let me know what you think. Show me your setups, give me links to your setup as well. I'd love to see what everybody else is doing. I'm going to be doing something on my setup quite soon. Something quite different, a nicer webcam. I'm doing sort of more of the green screen vibe at the moment, which requires very good lighting and stuff like that. So something a bit different to over here. But yeah, so smash a like on the video if you do enjoy this. Do subscribe, and I'll see you guys very, very soon.